Huang Haibo was once the face of trust and warmth in Chinese television, celebrated for roles that made him a beloved household name. From humble beginnings to national stardom, his journey seemed unstoppable until one scandal changed everything. In this video, we'll explore Huang's rapid rise, his shocking fall, and how he quietly rebuilt his life away from the spotlight. It's a story of fame, failure, and finding peace on different terms. Stick around to hear how one of China's most admired actors faced the toughest battle of his life. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories. Huang Haibo was born on November 25, 1976, in Jizhou District, Tianjin, China. Growing up in a modest household, he showed an early interest in performing arts, something that set him apart from many of his peers. His passion for acting was evident from a young age, and despite the limited resources around him, he held on to that dream with fierce determination. As he grew older, Huang's ambition led him to pursue formal training at one of the most prestigious institutions in China, the Beijing Film Academy. Getting into the academy was no small feat. It demanded talent, discipline, and a deep commitment to the craft. Huang not only got accepted, but fully immersed himself in his studies, determined to turn his passion into a lifelong career. After graduating in 2001, Huang Haibo entered the entertainment industry with the typical struggles faced by many young actors. The early years were not glamorous. He picked up minor roles in television dramas and films, often playing supporting characters that barely registered with audiences. But Huang was not deterred. Every role, no matter how small, was treated as a stepping stone. He honed his skills quietly, learning the intricacies of emotional expression and character building. Industry insiders began to notice his dedication and the subtle depth he brought to his performances. Though he was not yet a household name, it was clear that Huang was a serious actor willing to put in the work. His persistence paid off gradually. In the mid-2000s, he started landing more substantial roles. Audiences connected with the authenticity he brought to the screen. Unlike many flashy, larger-than-life performers, Huang had a rare ability to make characters feel real. He portrayed everyday people with sincerity, humility, and a quiet strength that resonated with viewers. This quality became his signature style and would later define his career. The turning point came in 2010 when he starred in A Beautiful Daughter-in-Law Era. The television drama, centered around the life of a newlywed couple navigating the complexities of family life, struck a chord with Chinese audiences. Huang played the earnest and lovable son-in-law, a role that showcased his natural warmth and relatability. Viewers adored him. His portrayal felt genuine, like someone you could easily recognize in your own family or community. The show's success catapulted him into the national spotlight, transforming him from a hard-working character actor into a beloved star. Following that breakthrough, Huang continued to build momentum with another major hit, Forever Designation, in 2011. The show delved into themes of loyalty, sacrifice, and personal struggle, offering Huang the opportunity to display even greater emotional range. He played a soldier whose steadfast devotion to his comrades and ideals won the hearts of audiences across the country. Critics praised his performance, calling it both powerful and deeply moving. For many viewers, Huang Haibo was no longer just an actor. He represented the best of traditional values at a time when Chinese society was undergoing rapid change. By the time Let's Get Married aired in 2013, Huang was at the peak of his career. The romantic drama explored the trials and tribulations of modern relationships, a topic that resonated widely among young adults, grappling with the pressures of love, marriage, and societal expectations. Huang's character was once again the good-hearted everyman, navigating the emotional roller coaster of finding a life partner in a fast-paced world. His chemistry with co-star Gao Yuan was electric, drawing massive ratings and cementing the show as one of the biggest television hits of the year. Audiences found comfort and inspiration in Huang's portrayal, which offered hope and reassurance during an era of uncertainty. The accolades poured in. Huang Haibo won the prestigious Magnolia Award for Best Actor at the 14th Shanghai Television Festival, a major milestone that recognized both his skill and his unique ability to connect with people on a deeply emotional level. Producers lined up to offer him leading roles. Advertisers wanted his trustworthy image to endorse their products. His face became a familiar sight across billboards, magazine covers, and television screens nationwide. For many, Huang symbolized the ideal son, husband, and friend. He represented an image of integrity and kindness that seemed increasingly rare in the entertainment world. Despite the overwhelming fame, Huang remained grounded. Those who worked with him described him as humble, professional, and respectful, someone who valued the work itself more than the trappings of celebrity. He avoided the flashy lifestyle that often accompanied stardom. Instead, he kept a low profile, focusing on his craft and maintaining close relationships with his family and longtime friends. In interviews, he often spoke about the importance of honesty, hard work, and staying true to one's principles. Looking back, it was a golden period for Huang Haibo. He had built a career rooted in authenticity and emotional truth, winning the admiration of millions. His rise felt not like the result of clever marketing or manufactured hype, but rather the natural reward for years of quiet perseverance and genuine talent. Huang's story inspired countless aspiring actors who saw in him the possibility that, with enough hard work and heart, dreams could indeed come true. Yet beneath the surface, the intense scrutiny of fame was beginning to take its toll. As his public image became more tightly defined, the pressure to maintain it grew heavier. Every public appearance, every personal choice, every casual comment was dissected by a watchful audience. Huang had built a reputation as the perfect man, and expectations were sky high. Unknown to the public at the time, cracks were forming behind the scenes. Huang was human, after all, and the pedestal on which he had been placed was becoming an increasingly precarious place to stand. The stage was set for a dramatic fall that would soon shock the nation. In May 2014, everything Huang Haibo had worked so hard to build came crashing down. News broke that Beijing police had detained him in a hotel room for soliciting a prostitute. The reports stunned the entire country. For years, Huang had cultivated an image as the dependable, morally upright man next door, the kind of figure families trusted and admired. The revelation that he had been caught in such a scandal seemed not just disappointing, but almost surreal to his fans. Overnight, the media exploded with coverage. Television programs, online forums, and social media feeds were flooded with discussions about the fall of one of China's most beloved actors. The police acted quickly. Within days, Huang Haibo was officially sentenced to 6 months of detention, under what was referred to as custody and education. In China, this was a form of administrative punishment designed not only to penalize, but also to rehabilitate those caught in prostitution-related offenses. Unlike a criminal trial, it was a swift administrative process, but the damage to Huang's reputation was immediate and profound. The court of public opinion moved even faster than the legal system. His name became a trending topic for all the wrong reasons. Memes, jokes, and angry commentary flooded the internet. For every voice calling for compassion and forgiveness, there seemed to be 10 more expressing shock, betrayal, and outrage. The timing could not have been worse. In the wake of President Xi Jinping's broader crackdown on celebrity misbehavior, the Chinese government had started tightening regulations on entertainers who got into trouble. A new policy was soon introduced that banned artists with histories of drug use, prostitution, or other so-called moral failings from appearing in films, television shows, and advertisements. The entertainment industry, which once might have quietly helped a fallen star stage a comeback, now had clear instructions from above. People like Huang Haibo were no longer welcome in the public eye. Production companies cut ties. Advertising contracts were canceled. Projects that had planned to feature him were forced to either recast or shelve their work entirely. For Huang, the career he had painstakingly built over more than a decade disappeared almost overnight. It was not just the formal punishments that hurt. It was the freezing out by an entire industry that had once celebrated him. Producers who once praised his professionalism now kept their distance. Former colleagues avoided public mentions of him. Even sympathetic friends were hesitant to express support too openly, fearing they might damage their own careers by association. In the entertainment world, image was everything, and Huang's image had been shattered beyond immediate repair. The public reaction was mixed and deeply emotional. On one side, there were those who felt betrayed. Fans who had looked up to Huang as a moral exemplar felt personally wounded by his actions. Parents who had pointed to him as a role model for their children now struggled to explain the scandal. On the other side, there were people who believed the punishment was excessive, arguing that soliciting a prostitute, while illegal, was a personal failing rather than a reflection of his professional talents. Some pointed out that many people made mistakes in private life without losing everything they had worked for. Supporters flooded online forums with messages of forgiveness, urging others to separate Huang's personal mistakes from his artistic contributions. Huang himself did not offer much public commentary during this period. After his detention, he issued a short statement expressing deep regret and apologizing to his family, fans, and society at large. He acknowledged his wrongdoing and said he accepted the consequences. It was a quiet, somber message, far from the elaborate PR apologies often seen in celebrity scandals. There were no excuses, no attempts to shift blame. Just a simple admission of fault and a plea for forgiveness. Behind the scenes, the scandal took a heavy personal toll. Huang's family, especially his elderly parents, reportedly struggled with the shame and stress brought on by the media frenzy. In Chinese culture, where family honor is deeply intertwined with individual behavior, the incident was not just seen as a personal mistake, but a stain on his entire family's reputation. Huang withdrew from public life, disappearing from television screens, red carpet events, and entertainment news altogether. Even as the months passed and public attention shifted to other scandals and stories, Huang remained effectively blacklisted. Unlike in some Western countries, where celebrities often rebound from personal scandals with relative ease, the Chinese entertainment industry showed little interest in offering him a second chance. The combination of state directives and public disillusionment created an environment where his return seemed almost impossible. There were small flickering rumors from time to time, a whisper that Huang might appear in an independent film, a mention that he had been spotted working on a low-budget web series, a hint that he was considering a move behind the camera instead of in front of it. But nothing materialized into a full-fledged comeback. Casting directors and investors were unwilling to take the risk. Television networks and streaming platforms, cautious of government scrutiny, refused to feature him. His absence from the entertainment world became its own kind of unspoken statement. Huang Haibo went from being one of the most recognizable faces in China to a cautionary tale almost overnight. His story was often cited in media discussions about celebrity responsibility and the harsh consequences of personal mistakes. For aspiring actors and entertainers, his rise and fall served as a stark reminder that fame in China came with not just rewards, but enormous pressures and unforgiving expectations. As the end of his formal detention approached, there were questions about what path Huang would choose. Would he fight to reclaim a place in the spotlight, or would he retreat permanently from the public stage? The answer was not immediately clear. What was certain, though, was that the man who once symbolized trust and virtue for millions of viewers now faced a long, uncertain road ahead, trying to rebuild a life and an identity that had been profoundly shaken. After his release from detention in late 2014, Huang Haibo chose not to rush back into the public eye. Instead, he quietly retreated from the spotlight, focusing on rebuilding his personal life. Not long after the scandal, he married actress Ku Shanshan in Los Angeles. Their relationship had been largely private, away from the chaos of media attention. For Huang, the marriage marked the beginning of a new chapter, one centered on family rather than fame. It was a deliberate move, signaling that he was no longer chasing the entertainment industry's approval. He prioritized stability, something he sorely needed after the storm that had engulfed him. In August 2015, Huang and Ku Shanshan welcomed their first child, a baby boy. Becoming a father gave Huang a deeper sense of purpose. He often spoke, in rare interviews and online posts, about how fatherhood had reshaped his understanding of responsibility and forgiveness. It was clear that he saw raising his son as a way to redeem himself, not in the public's eyes, but in his own. Those who followed him noticed a shift. His messages to fans, when they came, were no longer about work or celebrity. They were about gratitude, humility, and family. Huang was trying to heal, not just rebuild. Despite his new life, whispers about a potential comeback never entirely disappeared. Some believed that time would soften the public's memory of the scandal, opening a door for Huang to return to acting. Others pointed out that Chinese audiences had, in some cases, forgiven celebrities for worse transgressions. Yet every time a rumor surfaced, it faded just as quickly. Industry insiders knew the reality. Official policies against morally compromised artists remained firmly in place, and major networks and studios were under immense pressure to comply. Even if a director wanted to cast Huang, the risks outweighed the potential rewards. Huang seemed to understand this. He made no grand declarations about returning to acting. Instead, he occasionally engaged in small creative projects far from the mainstream. Independent short films, private acting workshops, and minor public service initiatives became his way of staying connected to the craft he loved without drawing too much attention. These projects rarely made headlines. They were not about reclaiming fame, but preserving a sense of artistic identity. For Huang, acting was never just a job, it was part of who he was. Even stripped of his public platform, he continued to practice his art quietly, away from the glare of judgment. His social media presence also evolved. Where once he had shared promotional photos and glimpses of celebrity life, he now posted reflections about daily life, family moments, and philosophical musings. His posts were sporadic but heartfelt. He expressed appreciation for the fans who had stood by him and gratitude for the simple things he still had. There was no bitterness in his words, only a sense of quiet acceptance. He acknowledged his past mistakes without wallowing in them, a rare approach in an era where public figures often vacillated between defensiveness and over-apologizing. Life after the scandal was not without its difficulties. In China's interconnected society, the label of disgrace can be long-lasting. Huang likely faced countless small humiliations that never made the news. Industry events he was no longer invited to. Professional acquaintances who no longer returned his calls. Opportunities that slipped away before they could even be discussed. Even outside the entertainment world, living with a public scandal meant encountering judgment from strangers in everyday situations. Yet through it all, Huang remained resilient, focusing on the things he could control rather than obsessing over the things he could not. There were moments when the possibility of a larger comeback seemed within reach. A few directors and screenwriters publicly expressed sympathy for Huang, suggesting that talent should not be erased because of personal failings. A handful of independent films even floated his name in casting rumors, although none ultimately moved forward. For now, Huang's most visible legacy remained in the reruns of his past work. His performances in shows like A Beautiful Daughter-in-Law Era and Let's Get Married continued to find new audiences on streaming platforms. Younger viewers, unfamiliar with the scandal, sometimes discovered his old shows and marveled at the sincerity of his acting. The irony was that even as the industry moved on without him, Huang's earlier performances held up remarkably well. They were timeless portrayals of love, perseverance, and hope. In a way, his work outlived the scandal that had derailed his career. Those performances remained a testament to his skill and dedication, even if the man behind them had been pushed into the shadows. Today, Huang Haibo lives a far quieter life than the one he knew at the height of his fame. He is first and foremost a husband and father, and only secondarily an actor. He occasionally appears at small community events, gives low-profile interviews, and participates in charity work. But he no longer seeks the spotlight. His story serves as a reminder of how quickly fortunes can turn in the world of celebrity, especially in a society where public morality is tightly policed. Yet it also stands as a quieter kind of redemption story, one not built on grand comebacks or media campaigns, but on private resilience, personal growth, and a focus on what truly matters. Huang Haibo's life shows how quickly public opinion can turn and how hard it is to recover once trust is broken. Despite losing his career almost overnight, he chose a different path, one built on family, self-reflection, and resilience. While the spotlight may never fully return, his performances continue to leave a lasting mark. His story reminds us that even in the harshest fall, there's a chance for quiet redemption. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Huang Haibo's journey, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories behind the headlines.